Today, two men will walk onto the same field for the first time in their lives. One of them is 38 years old, the other is 18. One of them has already won everything football has to offer. The other is just getting started. But the real story isn't who wins. It's what happens to the loser's story when it ends. You already know the names. You've already picked a side. But before this final kicks off, it's worth asking a stranger question. What actually happens inside a legacy when a torch almost gets passed but doesn't? Start with the older man. He is playing in what is very likely his final World Cup. He has already won the trophy once. He has already been named the best player alive more times than anyone can count. And yet here he is again, deep into his career, with a chance to do something almost nobody in the history of the sport has ever done. Win it twice as captain 4 years apart. Psychologists who study elite athletes call this the completion effect. Once a career reaches near total accomplishment, the remaining goals stop being about proving worth and start being about closing a story cleanly. A second title wouldn't just be another trophy. It would be an ending written on his own terms, instead of an ending written by time. Now look at the younger man, 18 years old, playing in his first World Cup final. Already one of the most gifted attacking players anyone has seen at that age. He wasn't born yet the last time Spain and Argentina met in a final like this. He grew up watching highlights of the very man he's about to play against. There's a particular kind of pressure that comes with being called the future of something before you've actually lived enough of the present to know what that means. Researchers who study young elite performers describe it as anticipatory pressure. The psychological weight of being expected to fulfill a story other people wrote about you before you had any say in it. So what actually happens today? If the older man wins, the story almost writes itself. A second World Cup, years after most players would have quietly retired, closing what may be the most statistically dominant individual career the sport has ever produced. It would not need a chapter of doubt attached to it. It would simply confirm what was already believed. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. If the younger man's team wins instead, something more complicated happens to both of them. For the younger player, victory at 18 means being permanently tied to a comparison he did not choose. Every tournament for the next 15 years of his career will be measured against a debut trophy this big. Sports psychologists have a name for this too: early peak pressure. The paradox where achieving something extraordinary too soon can make everything that follows feel like it's chasing rather than building. And for the older player, a loss here would not erase his career, nothing could, but it would mean his story doesn't get the clean ending he's chasing. It would mean the final chapter stays open, unresolved. A career that accomplished nearly everything except the one symmetrical bookend that would have made the whole story feel finished. That's the real tension sitting underneath the trophy today. This isn't just two teams competing for a title. It's two different relationships with time competing for the same 90 minutes. One man trying to close a story before time closes it for him. Another man trying to open one before the world decides who he is without his input. Whoever wins, one truth will hold regardless. The sport won't actually end for either of them today. But how they each remember this specific afternoon for the rest of their lives is being written right now, in real time, whether they're ready for that or not. You've probably felt a smaller version of this yourself. The moment you realize a chapter of your life was closing, whether you wanted it to or not. The moment you were handed an expectation you never asked for, simply because of what people assumed you'd become. Endings and beginnings rarely happen on command. Today, on one field in front of the whole world, both of them are happening at exactly the same time. Two men. One field, one walking toward the end of a story he spent 2 decades writing. The other walking into the beginning of one, he didn't choose to start yet. Only one of them gets to leave today with the ending they wanted. But both of them leave changed either way.